Been beat down, but I
Well, just a minute here. Okay.
don't stay low. Got mud on my jeans, still ready to go.
Okay.
Every scar's a story that I survived. I've been through hell, but I'm still alive. They said, slow down, boy, don't go too fast. But I ain't never been one to live in the past. I keep moving forward, never looking back, with a worn out hat and a six-string strap. You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Ain't changing my tone, ain't changing my song. I was born this way, been loud too long. You can hate my style, you can roll your eyes, but I ain't slowing down. I was born to rise, so kick them rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. I've lost some friends, made a few new foes, but that's just life, that's how it goes. I ain't bending over just to please a crowd. If I fall down, I'll fall down proud. I talk my truth, I live my way. Ain't nobody gonna take my say. This road's been rough, but I learned to trade. It's sweat, soul, and dues I paid. You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Ain't changing my tone, ain't changing my song. I was born this way, been loud too long. You can hate my style, you can roll your eyes, but I ain't slowing down. I was born to rise, so kick them rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Let the haters talk, let the rumors fly. I ain't got time to wonder why. The good Lord knows the man I am, and I'll die standing tall with a mic in my hand. You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Ain't selling my soul for a seat at your table. I'm rough, I'm raw, I'm wild, I'm able. You can hate my fire, but you can't kill my spark. I'm a midnight flame burning through the dark. So kick them rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. You can kick rocks.
Hey, good evening, and how is everybody today? And if you're just joining, we have a big show for you tonight. I've got two guests coming in. Very important stuff we're going to get into tonight. So I hope everybody is got your popcorn and got your drinks, whatever the case may be, because we're going to get into quite a big show tonight. So, um, so share, and we're going to get going here. I've still got some stuff to line up for you tonight. So remember, it's a one-man band, guys. Hi, Pam. How are you? It's a one-man band. It's a one-man show. I've got lots of shit to do here. So yeah, just get sharing, and we're gonna do what we can. Okay. So bear with me. We've got lots to put together tonight. So it's going to be a little hectic here. So keep sharing, guys. We're going to get into this. Oh, give me a break.
can't keep. I've been low, I've been tested hard, lost a few, left a few scars, but I don't drown in what I face. I let it hit, then embrace. When it gets lonely, when it gets thin, when the fight's outside and within, I don't run, I don't bend. When I stay, I don't fall. When I hold it on. When it's dark, when it breaks, you can lean, I won't shake. I've held hands in the worst of nights, kept my word when it cost my pride. I don't fold when the truth cuts deep. I don't promise what I can't keep. I've been low, I've been tested hard, lost a few, left a few scars, but I don't drown in what I face. I let it hit, then embrace. When it gets lonely, when it gets thin, when the fight's outside and within, I don't run, I don't bend. When I stay, I don't fall. When I hold it on. When it's dark, when it breaks, you can lean, I won't. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a big show tonight. I've got two guests coming in, and we're gonna do some some extra stuff here tonight for you. I hope everybody's doing well. I think we've got something. Oh, well. I hope everybody's doing well, and I want to thank you for joining me because we have a big show tonight coming in. I'm just going to call one of these people. Where are you? Where are you? Just bear with me. Here we are. Has been forwarded to. Hello? Hi, Jane. I sent it to you on Messenger. I sent the link to you on Messenger. I don't know though. Like, are you doing the show on separation, on Alberta separation? Well, I want to add your input into that. I've got Pastor Arthur coming in after too. Yep. Well, we're on air now. Okay. Can you get the link? And you're gonna pass. Okay. Okay. Okay, Jane. Okay, bye. Okay. Well, we've got one person coming on tonight's show. Hang on. Hi, Pat. I sent it to you on Messenger. Did you see it? Do you see it there? Yeah. So you said you need to about 20 minutes. No. She just canceled out. That's fine. So if you want to jump on, if you want to jump in there, I'll see you in the back, and then I'll bring you in. Okay. So give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Okay, guys. We're down to one. That's fine. I'm going to okay, I put a post up there about what was it, 3-4 days ago, to all of the freedom fighters. Okay. Now, there's 3 major hotspots in Canada.
And before I get into that, I want you to hear this other thing that I came across. Just to give you a little bit of an insight on to what's really going on here.
Officially begun this year, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, for the first time ever, Alberta has a referendum date set for the fall of 2026. And then you have the Parti Québécois, who are leading in the polls, promising a referendum as soon as they get a chance. The Canadian economy is now poorer than that of the state of Alabama. Yes, you heard that right. And while all of this is happening, Ottawa's still acting like nothing's wrong. Nothing to see here. So the question is, are we still one country, or are we watching the first stage of a breakup in real time? Think Yugoslavia 2.0. And then you have the Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, stating for the record in a recent press conference that the province is headed to a referendum when all signature requirements are met.
Ontario inhabitants are now poorer per capita than inhabitants of Mississippi, and that's the poorest American state. So the inhabitants of Canada's richest province are poorer than the inhabitants of the United States' poorest state. And that's actually occurred primarily in the last 10 years.
Yes.
And because we were basically at parity before that.
Canada's decline, intentional or due to incompetence? A decade of policy failure. That's what it really amounts to, right? A decade of policy failure that has left Canada poor. We have 10% of the population now below the poverty line. And we have record numbers in food bank lineups. And our GDP per capita is a complete disconnect from the United States of America. I mean, they're close to double what ours is right now. It's absolutely crazy. The leading indicators point to economic decline here, economic winter, where the opposite is true for the United States of America. Investment flows into the United States, including the Prime Minister himself has invested much of his wealth into the United States of America, while Canada gets left behind.
So let me get this straight. Mark Carney promised a booming economy. And what did Canadians actually end up getting? 84,000 jobs gone in 1 month. A total of 109,000 full-time jobs vanishing. And then you have hours being cut across the country and massive layoffs. But don't worry, Carney says everything is going great, right? Because when your paycheck shrinks, groceries double in price, and young people can't find. That's apparently what success looks like in liberal Canada.
Because it's a debate amongst liberals and non-liberals. They say our economy is going great because the IMF is saying Canada is poised to be the tiger of the Western world. And I see people in places aside from downtown Toronto, fed by the government, and Ottawa, fed by their golden pensions, suffering. Gas prices, grocery prices, rents, taxes. People are really in trouble in Canada. So why could the IMF say we're in such great shape and other people saying Canada sucks?
Because they're a friend of Carney's. He's an
The IMF is a
international,
friend of Carney?
of course they are. This is the international financial elite
And
we're
they're
talking
lying?
about here.
They're lying?
They're playing with numbers. They're doing creative accounting. They say figures can lie and liars can figure. Well, that's what we've got going on here.
So diversification for auto is not an option. If we do not have US access, we do not have an auto industry. That's just the bottom line. So we really need to get this relationship right. You would not build cars in Canada to ship to Europe or to Asia. It just doesn't make commercial or economic sense. We happen to sit beside the largest, most dynamic, wealthiest economy in the world in the United States. This is the gravity model of trade. You're going to do the most trade with the largest economy that is geographically closest to you. So, well, it would be nice to diversify. Not going to happen for auto.
Remember the promise? Canada was supposed to be the fastest growing economy in the G7. Instead.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Arthur Pawlowski. How are you tonight, Pastor?
Good. How are you, Rudy?
I'm up to my neck in government corruption here. That's one of the reasons I invited you onto the show. You have a good taste of what our corrupt government is doing to the people. Why don't we start off with you have a lawsuit against I believe the Alberta government, is that right?
No, actually, it's more complicated and a lot bigger. But let's just, go back in time a little bit. You said that I do know about the corruption. First of all, we have to establish why people like me, immigrants, why we can pick up what is happening here so fast, because
Yeah.
that's exactly what we escaped, Rudy. We
Yeah.
escaped corruption, we escaped police state, we escaped abuse of power, crooked judges, law enforcement agencies that were not protecting people but rather were acting like mafia for the elites, for the power that was at that time, at the realm. So we have to understand that people like me, we see it right away when something is broken, something is not right, because that's exactly what we escaped. So we, with my wife, with my parents and my younger brother, we escaped communism from behind the Iron Curtain on a boat to Greece. We lived in Greece for 5 years, and then we came to Canada. And we have to first ask ourselves this question: why did we immigrated to this country? Well, because we were sick and tired of corruption. We were sick and tired of what, the totalitarian regime that we received when we were living behind the Iron Curtain. So, the tyranny, the abuse of power, we were sick and tired of this, and we decided to come and start brand new, start somewhere that, we believed that the rule of law, respect of the law, is still in existence. Well, we were wrong. And I remember when we arrived in Canada in 95, I was already seeing the writing on the wall, if you will. There was already trouble. I just refresh your memory. At that time, I believe it was Christian that was the prime minister, and he just lost $1 billion. And I remember watching this on the news, and I'm thinking like, this is something is definitely not right with this country. And the reporters at that time, they were not as crooked propaganda machinery as they are today. At that time, at least, they pretended to do a decent job. They went to the prime minister and they asked him, all the cameras rolling, Mr. Prime Minister, what is $1 billion? What happened to the $1 billion? And he says, I don't know. Ask the Minister of Finance. So all the cameras went to the Minister of Finance and they asked him, where is the $1 billion that just disappeared completely, is gone? No one knows where the money is. He says, I don't know. Ask the prime minister. And they were going back and forth. And I remember I said to my friends, I said, this is the same garbage that we escaped, except here is corruption with white gloves. It's not kind of in your face. It's a little bit hidden, but is the same garbage nevertheless. So anyway, that was my introduction to this country. I went back to business, and in 1999, Rudy, I started to work with the homeless people. My first homeless that we took off the streets was 27 years ago, and from that moment on, we you know, work with the poorest of the poor, if you will. And my story is so complicated, it's so crazy. I'll have to talk for hours and hours and hours. I mean, I have become the most persecuted Canadian in the
Yeah.
history of this country.
Mhm.
I've never met anyone ever that received more tickets than I received. I received already over 360 citations. At times, Rudy, I was getting 15, 20 tickets a day, all of it for feeding the poor, for preaching the gospel, for placing material on the ground, illegal, in quote, distribution of printed material. Our church was raided by the Bible services and the police. All of our Bibles were confiscated. Our gospel tracts were taken because apparently we were illegally distributing printed material without a permit. I was arrested, as you know, many times for giving free goods and services. The early 2000s, 2006 was my first arrest. 2005 was my first ticket for feeding the poor. I mean, this whole craziness was going on for years and years and years, and we've lost the charitable tax status in 2008. Why? Because I preached the Bible about divorce, homosexuality, and abortion, and the federal government sent me a letter and saying because our views are negative towards those things, we're not eligible to have a charitable tax status. So I have been, Rudy, yelling and screaming for many years about the state of affairs in our beloved nation. And quite frankly, not many people were interested to hear a man like me. So everything was progressing, and they look at me and they say, "Oh, that's just a lunatic from Poland. Oh, he's probably a troublemaker, lawbreaker. He's asking for trouble. He's doing this for fame." I've heard it all. And at this moment, 27 years later, Rudy, I don't care. I absolutely do not care what people say or think of me. I am on a mission, and my mission is very simple: to preach the truth and take care of the poor. That's it. That's what we're doing. And that's what we have been doing during the COVID era. Nothing else. I
Yeah.
was fighting for the rights of the people.
Yeah.
I was
Now,
standing for our Constitution and Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And all of that was done in the capacity of me being a pastor.
now, before the COVID thing hit, I came down to Calgary and I did an interview with you on one of my lives back before COVID, I believe. And when I was there was a big lineup of homeless people that were there to get fed. Okay. Now, at that time, you indicated to me that there was a lot of corruption in the government regarding the homeless people. Okay. And and then they went on, like you say, they went on and they were throwing charges at you, and I mean, and then the COVID thing happened, and well, it all blew up, and they were on you like white on rice. Okay, as far as trying to get you to be quiet and not say anything, and to carry on with even having the church going on, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, the topic of homelessness. I mean, you touched on something that I will have to talk for hours. I'll just give you a few
You're
little things.
we're getting a bit of mic problem. It's a little bit of static. Is there something with your mic, or try it again? Say something else.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that sounds good now. Okay, I don't know what where the static was coming from, but I
Okay.
think we've got you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you kind of touched on a topic that it would take me hours and hours to explain to your viewers, but I just give you a little bit. Homelessness is a big fat cow,
Oh
and
yeah.
the government and the business people are milking it in a way that average Canadian would not even believe me if I said everything that I know. It's a
Mhm.
multi-billion-dollar industry, homelessness,
Mm.
and lots of people are benefiting from the poor. I mean,
Mhm.
like I said, city of Calgary, province of Alberta, designates about $250 million to fight homelessness. And if you gave me that money, I would build a house for every
Mhm.
homeless person. I mean, there is
Mhm.
enough money to build a house for every homeless person. But the
Mhm.
money is going to the politicians and the money is going to the shelters. And the way shelters are operating in this country is they're being paid per head. So it's like a business.
Mm-hmm.
When you are you're saying that you are providing services for the homeless people and you do your best to eliminate poverty, and yet you're being paid for every cattle head that you have under your wings. So the more cattle, the more money is being given to you. In other words, what I'm saying to you is in their best interest, I'm talking about those shelters and those organizations, to have more cattle heads, not less, because the
Mm-hmm.
more people under their wings, the more money are being given to them by the government. So that's millions of dollars, $250 million just in the province of Alberta. Then you've got private donors. And I remember when we started to work with the homeless people, I thought that they're well fed. I was as ignorant as everybody else. What did I know, right? I didn't know anything. I thought that the shelters are good. The government is doing their best. They're feeding them and they're housing them. Life is good, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they are there because they want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started working with the homeless people, the truth shocked us because they were coming to us and they were saying, we did not eat for 3 days. And I said, what do you mean you didn't eat for 3 days? You are sleeping in the shelters. And then those stories were coming to us: abuse of power, rapes, confiscation of their belongings, all those different things were coming to us. I had hundreds of testimonies recorded on video of women saying that they're being repeatedly raped by the staff. I was told that a drug trafficking business is coming from the supervisors. They told me where the stash of drugs is, and it's a never ending flow of clients, if you will. So we're talking about corruption that average Canadian has absolutely no idea and would refuse to even believe it. And all of the agencies are part of this.
Mm-hmm.
If I would tell you that police officers are arresting drug dealers, confiscate their drugs, kick them out next block, and resell the drugs, who would want to believe that kind of story in
Mm-hmm.
uniform?
Mm-hmm.
But this is a normal thing. It's happening all the time. And drug dealers told me many times that their biggest clients are the, what do you call them, the white collars: doctors, judges, lawyers, officers, politicians. They are the number one clientele if it comes to illegal substances. So the problem is huge. But going back to the homelessness, you've got a big fat cow. You got the chicken that is laying you every single day a golden egg. So when we stepped in, when our churches came in, we had about 250 volunteers, 7 locations. We actually made a difference. We took 600 people off the streets within 3 months, and up to that time, no one really cared. The media were very positive. Officers were very good to us. No issues with bylaws, no issues with politicians, until we really became very effective in what
Mm-hmm.
we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
We were feeding the homeless. We were looking for jobs. We were taking them off the streets. And Rudy, you got to remember, an average homeless person takes about $100 to $1,000 worth of. Now is the fentanyl big thing, but at that time
Mm-hmm.
was crack cocaine and other things, ecstasy. That's a big number if you multiply this by 600 clients. So someone somewhere was losing millions of dollars a month and they were not happy. So when we became very successful in taking people off the streets free of charge, not taking a penny from the taxpayers, everything done by volunteers and paid by the volunteers. And the politicians took notice, and I started to receive police officers, bylaw services, tickets, arrests, and the rest is history. So I have been fighting with this corruption. Of course, how do you fight corruption? Well, you expose it. You
Mm-hmm.
let the people know what's going on. At that time, I was very popular. I had my TV show, a reality TV show for 4 years. It was the number one reality show on the TV station. It was very popular. I was on the radio. I had my radio show as well. So I was exposing the corruption. I was letting people know what I saw and what the reports were coming from me, eyewitnesses and stuff like this. And then the government stepped in, and it's quite interesting that out of all the entities, you know who took us to court?
Who
It
was
was
that?
the drop-in center, master seat, with the collaboration of City Hall. Why? Because they are highly corrupted institutions to the core. And where is your tie with the government? Well, two MLAs are the ones from Master Seat. Their fathers, so Jeremy and Jason Nixon, their father, Pat Nixon, created the master seed. And we're talking about millions upon millions upon millions of dollars that has been challenged from the taxpayers to that entity. And I don't want to talk about those people. I mean, there is corruption following them all the time. They're big friends with the premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, which is corrupted to the core as well, flip flopping, a politician that is a pathological liar. She lies all the time since the beginning, since I know her, which was many years ago in a Wild Rose party that we created, and she became the leader of that party. So, going back to the story with homelessness, there is someone is not willing to let go of the millions of dollars if it comes to milking the homelessness issue, and the money, it just keeps coming like a river. And Artur
Mhm.
Pawlowski and our team is kind of in their face. We're not taking any money. We are not willing to be part of the enterprise, if you will. I was offered multiple times to be part of the the enterprise. I was offered millions of dollars from the government here to
Mhm.
become part of what they're doing, which is robbing and stealing the taxpayers. And as a pastor, I know other pastors have no problem with that, but I just could not do it. You got to remember, I grew up in corruption. I was a corrupted man because the system was very corrupted. We bribed the police, we bribed the politicians. That was the system. That's how you conducted business. It's a little bit like you see in Cuba or Mexico.
Mhm.
They're very similar system that in order to achieve something, to do something, you had to bribe the bureaucrats, you had to bribe the doctors, nurses, teachers. I mean, that's just how the system was working. And that's why we escaped. We were sick and tired of it. And we
Mhm.
came to Canada to avoid this. But unfortunately, this whole craziness caught up with us. And I just simply said, no, I'm not going back to in like a dog to the vomits. I'm not going back to the corruption. I refuse. As you know, my story, I was offered millions of dollars by the government to shut up, by the Smiths government. So the premier of Alberta and her government, I was offered all kinds of different things. I was offered a guaranteed seat at the legislature. I was offered, of course, all bribery. I was
Mhm.
offered to chair a public inquiry. I was offered all kinds of different things if I would just shut up. And really, I couldn't do that. I can't.
There's that. There's that static again on your mic. I don't understand, but I
Can
want
you
this to be very clear. Um,
can you hear it
I,
now?
yeah, it's still there a little bit. It
Okay,
sounds
let
kind
me.
of like a loose connection kind of thing, or a funny connection, is what it sounds like. Is it plugged into your computer or something, or your mic?
Yeah, just give
Okay,
me a
there.
second.
It's good now. It's good there now.
No, just give me a second. I'm going to unplug it, and then I'm going to.
Yeah, but it's sounding good now. I think that I was just getting it on my end. It's a little bit static. Static that was coming in. But I want to make sure that when you're talking, it's very clear, so that we get a very good understanding of your perspective in this. But it sounds
How
good
is
now.
now?
Now it
How is
sounds
now?
good. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
sounds
So
good.
I unplugged it and plugged it again, and
Okay.
hopefully it will be good. So there is a history in this whole craziness, and of course that was happening before the COVID hit, and then if people are wondering why I was targeted at the beginning of 2020, Rudy, you remember I was the first Canadian with another lady from Lethbridge that was charged with a COVID ticket. So
Mm,
they did a big press conference, and the chief of police, I believe, was talking, and I was this super spreader, this bad guy. But you got to go back to the facts. What I was doing, I
hmm.
was feeding the poor. And
Yeah,
I remember I was, going back and forth with the city hall and the provincial government when they told me I have to stop my soup kitchen. And I said to them, listen, people, you don't make any sense. If we're truly in the middle of this great crisis, then my services are now needed more than ever, because people need to eat regardless
yes,
if we're in the middle of pandemic or not. You're going to
right.
feed the masses. I said,
Yes,
what do you think those people are going to do? We got 15,000 homeless individuals or people facing homelessness in a province of Alberta. At times we have that many in the city of Calgary alone.
mm,
What do you think is going to happen if you shut down the shelters and you shut down the soup kitchens? I mean, I know what is going to happen, because people need to eat, so they will turn into violence, they will turn
yes,
into crime. I
yeah,
said, let me feed them. I even went as far to say, okay, I'll keep them 6 feet apart. Because, in the end of the day, Rudy, I wanted to save lives.
yes,
This way or that way, that was my objective. And when they said no, I knew right away this whole thing is a hoax, because I was
yes,
willing to do everything they wanted me to do to keep it safe. And they said no.
mm,
Instead, they sent the police, bylaw services, health inspectors, and I became the first recipient of the COVID craziness. And of
mm,
course, since then, for the next few years, I received about 50 citations worth millions of dollars. I was arrested, rearrested, spent time in prison, and then organized rallies and did whatever I could do to let the people know that we have seen this movie before, that this is a propaganda. Government is lying to you. I
yeah,
said it so many times because immigrants like us that grew up under a boot of a totalitarian regime, we see it so clearly. And the way the government was communicating the message, it was pure propaganda. It was pure
mhm,
propaganda. We could pick it up right away.
yeah,
People that escaped communism and socialism and any other, a totalitarian regime. So I warned the people. And I remember we started with the 7 people protesting. And by the time I was arrested the last time, we had 15 to 20,000 people coming to the rallies. So, as you know, the truck convoy started. I was invited by the organizers of the truck convoy to become their pastor. At that time, I was traveling all over Canada, flying everywhere, doing stuff, church services. I was in Ottawa, I was in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, British Columbia. I did church services at the Supreme Court, at other locations, City Hall, you name it. I was educating people about what I remembered and what I knew from behind the Iron Curtain. And apparently, the government got so scared, as you know,
yeah, oh yeah,
because I was the first one
mhm,
to be picked up by
yeah,
the Gestapo, as I call them, the political
yeah.
police,
Damn
um,
right. Yeah,
from
yeah.
all the truckers. I mean, I didn't have a rig. I was pastor organizing church services. We had Lord's Supper. We were singing hymns. I was preaching the Bible and giving people messages of hope. But that
Mhm,
was so dangerous to the liars. You see, when a man preaches the truth, who is afraid? The
mm,
liars,
yes,
because
yeah,
they've built their lies like a house of cards, lie
yeah,
on top of a lie. And when the only thing you need to do is bring the truth, and the whole thing crumbles. And
Mhm.
that's what I was doing. I was educating people. I was telling them that our God is bigger than all of those, sons of the Castro combined together. And and they got scared. I got arrested by anti-terrorists multiple times. I was arrested by our own version of FBI, RCMP, federal agents. I was arrested by detectives. I was arrested by undercover police, uniformed Calgary police. My house was staked. They lit my house on fire. They unscrewed tires in a pickup truck. The tire just took off in the middle of the road. I was
Wow.
attacked. I had Antifa attacking me. I had people trying to murder me multiple times. Five inmates testified to our lawyers on the record that the guards were giving them incentives to murder me in prison. So I was kept in metal cages. Like, can you imagine, Rudy? Metal cages. They kept me in metal cages. Um, but before that happened, they lit our church on fire. They vandalized our church multiple times for 3 months. Every week we had our church vandalized. They burned down our church's children's bus to the ground. They lit the church on fire. Thank God it didn't caught the fire. It was just a little bit burned. They broke into our church, stole our cameras multiple times, stole our equipment, speakers. So there was this unleashed attack left and right in unison, trying to destroy my life, my family. My brother David was arrested with me, I think, 13 times. Our oldest son, I'm sure you remember Nathaniel, he was already arrested, I think, 20 times just because he is our son. He was blacklisted in Canada, couldn't finish his school because of the liberal and conservative and the NDP woke government that doesn't want to have honest, good lawyers. My son studies law. He had to he had to go to United States of America to finish his university because this woke, crazy, lying, deceiving government would not allow him. So our family was targeted big time. And when I did my sermon in Coutts. Well, how this happened, I received a phone call from a friend of mine. And he says, Pastor, the police officers are dressed in black and they're pointing machine guns at our children playing street hockey,
Wow.
and everyone is depressed and we don't know what to do. Would you come and cheer us up? That was the conversation. Would you do church services for a desperate Canadians? So of course you didn't have to ask me twice. I went over there. I took my son Nathaniel, our worship leader. We loaded the car with food. I raised money for the truckers for their gasoline so they can keep going. As you know, it was a middle of winter. Alberta
Yeah.
is very cold, minus 30 when we
Yeah.
arrived
January.
over there.
Yeah.
And what happened was I did a church service to a crowd in Milk River. Milk River is about 12 kilometers from Coutts, something like
Yeah.
this.
That was the Coots thing.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
barricade by RCMP. I went to them and I said, well, I would like to go to Coutts. They opened the barricade, believe it or not, for me. We went to Coutts. I did another church service over there. And what did I say that triggered the insanity later? Well, I told the Canadian people that there's more of us than the villains, that we can do a solidarity style opposition by paralyzing their system with simply with the refusal to cooperate. You
Mm.
stop working for the wannabe pharaohs and it will be over for the pharaohs. That's it. The whole system crumbles and we'll have election. Well, I guess it was so powerful because a couple days later I was arrested. They blocked the entire street and they've arrested me and charged with terrorism. I was charged with terrorism. First Canadian ever, first pastor ever, first Canadian to be charged with a speech with terrorism. And of course, that was a conservative government that did this. You got to remember, I was not targeted by the liberal government. I was targeted by the conservative government, just like the people in Ontario were targeted by the conservative government of Doug Ford, the biggest mafia in this country. So I was targeted by Jason Kenney, the conservative government, that, of course, is the same government that people re-elected
Mhm.
again with Danielle Smith, which is, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Uh,
Why would you
Ninchi Ninchi was the mayor of Calgary at that time as well.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah,
now
he's the
he's
leader of the NDP now.
yeah he's opposition to Danielle Smith at the
Yeah,
moment.
they're always the same people.
Yeah.
They all. It's like I try to tell Canadian people what's going on. It's the game, and I'm sure you've watched the Hollywood productions,
Mhm.
Rudy. It's the game of good cop and bad cop.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to tell the Canadian people they all are working for the same police department. The
Yeah.
good cop and the bad cop. They
Yeah.
all are playing you like a fiddle. The
Mhm.
conservatives, the liberals, and the NDP are working against the Canadian people. But they have to play you. They are good con. The good con is we're going to promise you, we're going to give you a carrot. They're always dangling carrots in front of you. They're always telling you, okay, we will be better. Vote for us, lesser of two evils. But in the end, I ask the Canadian people, are we better off? So we in the province of Alberta, we still have for a long time a conservative government.
Mhm.
So my question to Albertans is very simple. Is your life better than it was 5 years ago? And they say
Mhm.
to me, no. Why not? We have to start asking ourselves what's going on because the same people, they all are the same people, the same coin. You've got a coin or the same book. Put it this way, you've got the same book, you've got the front and you've got the back.
Mhm.
They are all the same. They work for the same entity, and they don't have your best interest in their
Yeah.
heart. And
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. And I still do my best to educate people how the system works, how the game is being played. But unfortunately, I have not been very successful because
Mhm.
right now what we're observing is the Pierre Poilievre is the savior of Canada, and Daniel Smith is the savior of Alberta. And
Mhm.
yet, that's the same government that locked us like animals. Pierre Poilievre is the same devil that was yelling, vaccinate all the Canadians. Where are the vaccines? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yelling
Yeah.
and screaming at the son of the Castro, where are the vaccines? The whole world is vaccinated, but
Yeah.
Canadians are not. Where are the vaccines? Vaccinate them. And of course, 6 years later, now we know that the
It wa-
shots murdered tens of
yeah.
millions.
It's a biological weapon. It's not a vaccine. It's
Dutch courts just I received that, I think it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Dutch court already rendered their decision that the shots are bioweapon, and
Mhm.
yet in Canada, Canadians are still injected in the
Yes.
province of Alberta. So Daniel Smith is the savior
Yeah.
of Alberta.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
6 months young.
Dynamite. Yeah. Yeah.
6 months young kids are being vaccinated with the COVID shots, and the recommendation by the Smiths government is every 3 months. Yeah, they're not forcing you to do it, but they are recommending. You know how the propaganda
Yeah.
works,
Yeah.
right? We, the government, safe and effective, go and do it, protect your, grandma and grandpa. The game still is being played in front of our eyes, and yet, unfortunately, most people do not know what's going on. But going back to my arrest,
Yeah.
because I think this is the first time we talk after I was released from prison. And I
Mhm.
think your viewers do not know how corrupt and crooked our so called justice system is. So when I was arrested, and of course I was arrested many times, I was manhandled, tortured by the police, taken to prison, stripped naked, and they would keep me in solitary confinement. Of course, they wanted to inject me, they wanted to test me, and I fought them. I know you have to kill me, to put that into my system. And I told them, I'll fight you. You have to, you know, shoot me. And they didn't want to do that, thank God. I was spared. But instead, as a punishment, they would take me from my solitary confinement, where you have a bed. Yeah, it's a small, tiny place, but at least you have a bed, you got a washroom, and and you've got water. They would take me to a metal cages. A metal cage, Rudy, is no bigger than me sitting. It was like a box, and you sit over
Wow.
there. You cannot move. You cannot stretch. It's extremely hot, and you're in and out of consciousness. You're suffocating, and they
Wow.
would keep me in those metal cages for hours and hours and hours, and then back into solitary, and then back into a concrete cell, no water, no washroom. So that was the treatment that this government, the conservative government, was giving me for simply doing my job as a pastor. The
Yeah. Yeah.
good news out of
Mm,
this
mm.
is that I was very popular by the inmates. Inmates loved me. They recognized me right away, and they said to the guards that were giving them incentives to murder me in prison, they said, "This guy is innocent. He should not be here. He didn't deserve to be here. If anything happens to him, watch your back." So the inmates step up to my defense. And 21 days into my solitary confinement, Rudy, they signed a letter together, every inmate, and they said, release this man from solitary or you will have a problem. So
Mhm.
the next day, I was released from solitary confinement for 1 hour, 1 hour only a day, and I was able to interact with the inmates. And I did church studies and church services and prayer meetings, and I was able to interact with others. I was so popular that at my church services, I had every single inmate at my unit. Every inmate was coming and participating in the church services. So that
Wow.
scared them. I was so popular in jail
Mhm.
that they protected me, and I was kidnapped by sheriffs and taken without the knowledge of my lawyers, without the knowledge of my family. I was literally kidnapped, shackled, taken into a metal cage, and I was taken to Edmonton, hundreds of kilometers away from Calgary, and I was placed, Rudy, in MaxPot. MaxPot is a prison for the most dangerous terrorists.
Oh my
I
God.
was there by myself, 100 unit empty, and I was by myself, freezing conditions, watched by three guards, and I received a document. And that's why I really encourage you to get a book. Um, my book, I wrote this book in prison, and you can see the pictures of that's my sermon in Quds. Those are my
Yeah.
arrests and
Yeah.
different other things. But I received this document. I want to show it to you. This document right here, and if you get the book, it's on
Mm.
Amazon.ca for Canadians. Lions Do Not Bow, and Amazon.com for the Americans in the world. Lions Do Not Bow. This document that I received stated that I am to be housed alone because I am extremely dangerous for the staff and the facility. You see, they didn't like that I was so popular. What they wanted to break me. They wanted me to be
Yeah.
desperate.
Yeah.
Twice during this time, Crown Prosecutor, this lying manipulator, Stephen Johnston,
Mhm.
a Crown Prosecutor from the province of Alberta, came with an offer: if I say I'm sorry, then they will release me and drop other charges. I just had to say I'm sorry. Those are the pieces of paper I wrote my manuscript. So I wrote the book on the pieces of request forms because they would not give me a paper. So inmates were sliding a request forms under my door
Wow.
so I can keep writing.
Wow.
My book, Rudy, this
Mhm.
book, Lions Do Not Bow, and it has
Mhm.
the whole story. It's a big book. I included the background story, the Get Out video. Remember the Get Out Nazi video that was watched over 1 billion times? My arrests, the arrest when I came back from America and I was arrested on the tarmac. I've never seen anyone in my life being arrested in a plane, never mind a tarmac. I step out of the plane, boom, I got
Yeah, I
arrested,
remember that too. I
charged.
followed the whole thing.
Yeah, I was
S-
charged criminally, Rudy, for
yeah.
officiating an illegal gathering, participating in illegal gathering, not wearing a muzzle, all kinds of baptizing my daughter. Can you believe it? In a park, in a river, I was charged criminally for organizing that event. I mean, it's crazy. So
Mhm.
off I went to prison, and I kept documenting all of it, what I was observing, what I remember, why I yelled at those officers, Gestapo and Nazis, what was happening, what was said, the bribery, the blackmail,
Uh,
the attempted murder,
yeah.
all of those things.
Your your mic is doing that same thing again now. Maybe it's okay now. I, no, I think try say something again.
How about now?
No, it's still giving me a little tickle. Um, no, now your mic is muted. Your mic is muted. Um, your mic is muted. Let me see if I can.
How about
There
now?
now. Now it's open. Okay.
Yeah, you
Now
see,
I've got
I
you.
don't know. I don't know what's happening. Maybe they're interfering with the
Oh, we'll
broadcast.
carry. We'll push on. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm used to
So
that kind of shit, so that's okay. We'll push on. So now this all came, and now you've got this big lawsuit now. Okay,
yeah. So
and
what happened was, I refused to bow. That's why the title of my book is "Lions Do Not Bow." That's the picture from my arrest. I was
mhm,
arrested by anti-terrorists in the middle of the highway. So I refused to bow. That's what really angered them. They charged me with terrorism, interfering with the crucial infrastructure under the Defense Act, mischief over 5,000, some other garbage charges. And we proceeded to the trial, and they found a crooked judge, Gordon Krinky, that found me guilty on everything. My sermon, he said, was dangerous. My sermon, when during my sermon, 3 times I said to the Canadians peacefully, no guns, no swords. This is a peaceful uprising, lawful. Exercise your rights under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Constitution, just like the Polish people did it. And
mhm,
yet they said it was violent. I was I lit the uprising, whatever they were calling, and this crooked judge, Gordon Krinky, found me guilty. Stephen Johnston, the crown prosecutor that works for the uh, conservative government here in the province of Alberta from a special unit, he accused me to the judge that I caused over $400 million worth of damages because of my sermon to the truckers. $400 million. So all of that was going on back and forth. Eventually, the Gordon Krinky, crooked judge of Alberta, found me guilty, and we went to the appeal. Eventually, we lost the appeal, and the Supreme Court refused to hear my case. The Supreme Court says, no, we're not going to hear your case. And that was the end of the story. So we filed a lawsuit because during a private lawsuit, Rudy, you can uncover a lots of stuff during the discovery period. So that's what we want to do. That's our intentions, to uncover who did this to us and why it was done. And so we hired a whole team of lawyers, and we filed a lawsuit over 2 years ago. I'm telling you, Rudy,
mhm,
everything we do, they throw a roadblock. They are
mhm.
opposing everything we are doing. They are breaking their own rules and regulations. They refuse to give us discovery. They refuse to give us videos. They refuse this. They refuse that. They are asking for a nonsense. Just give your viewers a little bit of an understanding how ridiculous this whole thing is. Um, they said, you have to tell us who did this to you, which officer, the names. Like, you being arrested by a massive force.
Hmm.
You have no idea who is doing this to you. They don't have names. Most of them, remember, during that time, they were covering their names. You don't know who's doing this to you. You get arrested, you get tortured, manhandled. You have to understand, they took me from the highway upside down like a piece of meat, my head on the floor and my feet on the roof. Those people are monsters. They are
Yeah.
lawbreakers. They're gangsters in uniform.
Yeah. That's right.
They're like mafia.
Yeah.
Muscle for the biggest mafia that there is, conservative government in the province of Alberta. So what we're doing is we want to uncover and find out who did this to us Canadians. We're suing Attorney General of Canada. We are suing Alberta Health Services. We are suing Calgary Police. We are suing RCMP. We are suing City of Calgary. We are suing personally the Chief of Police that was at that time. And it's quite fascinating because when I was kidnapped by sheriffs and taken to Edmonton, I realized that they're going to murder me in prison because the conditions were freezing. So I'm shivering. I asked for a blanket, and the officer laughed in my face and he said, no, at least you have fresh air. So their intention was to murder me in
It
prison.
was intentional. Yeah.
Yes, I was offered highly addictive narcotics, cocaine. I was offered fentanyl twice a day. 5 different highly addictive narcotics are given to the inmates, and they were offered to me twice a day. I included all of that in a book: the names, the narcotics, the names of the politicians, the attempted blackmail. Uh, by You will be shocked who was blackmailing me, and then you will be shocked who was trying to bribe me. And I'm talking about Premier Daniel Smith and others, all those minions of Satan that wanted to buy me out and buy my silence. Um, I refused, kept doing, exposed all of it. My book was confiscated by the Canadian government, and we only have the manuscript because of my brave lawyer that literally, Rudy, smuggled the papers, the manuscript,
Wow.
from jail. So this
Wow.
book was smuggled from jail by a lawyer, and we
Wow.
sent it to an American publisher, and they were brave enough to publish it. The moment it was published, Canadian government blacklisted the book,
Oh,
stopped the book, and
wow.
we I had in 6 categories. It was bestseller. We were going
Wow.
like wildfire, and the Canadian government stepped in, killed the book, and we're still recovering slowly. But that's how dangerous the book is because of the
Wow.
information that I included in the book. So now, fast forward this Wednesday, we are back in court. They're opposing, they don't want to give us disclosures. So we are forced to go back to the judge and ask the judge to force them to give us the information that we need for the discovery.
Unbelievable.
So this is the level of corruption that I remember when I was growing up in Poland under the boots of communism and socialism. Another interesting fact for the people that many do not know, that when the judge learned, a good judge learned what is happening to me, the freezing conditions and the threats on my life, that scared the Riemann. Said, oh, we're suing Riemann, of course, for what they did to me, the metal cages, solitary confinement. And you will not really believe what they did. They came and they took me to a psych ward without evaluation of the doctors, without even the knowledge of Alberta Health Services, illegally,
Unbelievable.
without
Unbelievable.
evaluation, without even talking, completely illegal. And how do I know that? Because a doctor came to me on the third day. So I'm sitting in a psych ward
Mm.
with crazy people. And I'm telling
Yeah,
you, it
yeah.
was absolute insanity to be there.
Wow.
Um, And the doctor comes to me and says, Mr. Pawlowski, what are you doing here? I said, well, you're asking me. I was kidnapped, taken, and
Wow.
I'm here. He says, you're not supposed to be here. What they did is illegal. You
Wow.
cannot be placed in a psych ward without the evaluation of us, the
Yeah.
doctors. So
Yeah.
they completely broke every rule, everything. And eventually I was released. I spent what, 3 years, over 2 years. I was on house arrest, in prison, um, total insanity, and eventually
Unbelievable.
my appeal was denied, and uh, and we're suing them. So for the viewers, if you want to support what we're doing, I mean, I already spent $160,000 in legal fees already,
Wow.
and we are heading into discovery. And I was already told that we will need $200,000 to $300,000 for that process. So we need help. We're getting some help. We got some allies that believe in this fight. They believe in freedom. They believe in what we're doing. But we need all the support we can get, all the allies we can get. So if you want to help us, please do. This
Oh
would be a
yeah,
good
it's one of
time.
the reasons. That's one of the reason. Another reason for having you on the show today, because we've got to really, as far as the citizens of Canada, my reach is right across the board, and I've been doing this for 11 years, as you know. We've got to really have a hard look at the present day in Canada and what's been going on, and so on. And now we have this referendum thing going on in Alberta. And if you've got a place that people like, my viewers are solid, most of them are pretty solid viewers. If you have a place they could donate a few bucks to you to help you with that lawsuit, I'm sure that some of my viewers would be very interested to help you out with that. Do
Yeah,
you have a place to send money to?
yeah, we're not, I mean, unless you have the means, we're not asking for arm and a leg. I mean, if everyone would chip in a little bit, just a
Yeah,
little bit. I mean, people spend $7 on coffee in Starbucks. If I received a little bit of support, this goes a long way, because one man cannot do it, one family cannot do it.
no,
It's just too much. It's a too big
yeah,
of a burden.
yeah,
I'm still a pastor of two churches. I pastor a church in a building, and the church that you attended that
yeah,
feeds thousands of people. My
yeah,
wife just came from feeding the homeless.
yeah.
Right now, 3 times a week, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, we're feeding the poor, the poorest people in the city of Calgary, and we're doing great.
You moved locations before. When I came down, you were right across from City Hall, and now you're on the next block over. Why is that?
Well, we're still in front of City Hall, to the left if you're looking at the
Yeah,
front
where the Tim
building.
Hortons is.
Yeah, because the Olympic Plaza, where we were for many years, is being renovated. They destroyed the Olympic Plaza. They're building some center right now. The whole thing is fenced, and they just took our sidewalk. So
Oh
that's the
wow.
reason. There's no place we can do it. So we had to go across the street by the Tim Hortons, because there is a big
Yeah,
sidewalk over there. It's safe, and of course, that's what we want. We want to do it in the safest way possible. We still feed thousands of people. It's still the same thing that you saw when you came. The lineups are huge.
yeah,
People are hungry. They're desperate, and they're on top of the homeless. We have single moms with children. We have a lot of elderly people that are coming for food, Rudy. It's not just addicts, prostitutes, and homeless that come. We have poor citizens that just simply cannot afford their next meal. So that's
yeah.
what we're doing. We've never stopped. By the way,
No,
COVID, no
no.
COVID, we never stopped. We
Yeah,
kept doing all of this. Actually, we did more during COVID because there was nothing else we could do. I mean, everything was closed. So all of our efforts were dedicated to take care of the poorest of the poor.
Yeah.
We distributed millions of dollars worth of food, and we still do this to this day, 3 times a week. On top of that, I pastor a church. So tomorrow morning, Wednesday, and every Saturday, Saturdays I would preach in a building. So if people are in Calgary and are looking for a church that is actually doing something, not just talking, come 9:45 every Saturday. We have a church service with worship and Lord's Supper and preaching and all of that stuff. So if you can support us, please do. Not just for the legal fight, but also, to take care of the poor, and you can
Yeah.
do that safely on our website, streetchurch.ca, streetchurch.ca, because we're on the streets, streetchurch.ca. There is PayPal over there. There is buy me a coffee. You can take a QR code. That's an American thing. For Americans is the easiest and very secure. You can For the Canadians, you can send me an email, art@streetchurch.ca, art@streetchurch.ca, and everything helps. Little
Oh
here, a
yeah.
little there. The pile is coming, and we can keep fighting. And last legal bill, it's not easy, Rudy, because the
Yeah.
legal bills are, okay, you got to bring $20,000, you got to bring $30,000. you know the amounts are astronomical for a little guy, right? Imagine right now if a lawyer would send you a text and say, Rudy, I would like you to bring a check for $20,000. I mean, how, right? This is what I do. We feed the
Wow.
poor, we save lives, we do our best. And the only way we can survive and keep fighting is with other people will join the fight. I'm
Right.
willing I'm willing to risk my life. I've done it
Yeah.
many times. I was willing to go to prison for Canadians, and I'm willing to uncover this. We are only few, Rudy, in this country that are still interested in uncovering this crime against humanity. Most of the people moved on and they don't care anymore. Restaurants are open, they can golf, hockey, they can yell and scream. Life is
Yeah.
good. But I am interested in justice. I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
those
Me too.
people to be accountable. How
Yeah.
how are we going to do it? We don't have political power. Our politicians are not interested. Here is the thing, Rudy. Conservatives are viewed as the heroes, but they're not charging anyone. They're not exposing the monsters. They have no appetite to bring justice to our hurting Canadians. They're not doing it. Show me one politician, conservative politician, that says, I want the truth, I want justice. When in power, we will revisit the COVID era and we will bring justice. Those people that are responsible for this are going to be charged. Zero. Not one politician is talking about it. They just want to forget about it. They just want to move on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And
Rudy,
I'm not gonna let him do that.
I don't want to
As
move
long as
on.
I can help it.
I don't want to
Yeah.
move on. I'll tell you why I don't want to move on. Because as a pastor, I deal with the broken hearts of the family members. You know how many people were slaughtered, literally murdered by their policies? Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of Canadians were murdered by
Yes.
what they did. The blood of the innocent
Mhm.
cries for justice. We cannot move on. Justice must be served. Who is going to
Yes.
fight for those fallen Canadians? The children, the elderly that were literally slaughtered, those that were put on ventilators, murdered, willfully murdered by the doctors and the nurses, at the directives of the government. Monsters. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying my best to keep the fight going so Canadians will receive the information. Because here is what I tell you. And if you know anything about me, well, I wrote the book and I'm not shying of naming those monsters. I am naming the crown. I am naming the judges. I am naming the politicians. And Pierre Poilievre is in a book as well. And you will be shocked what this man tried to do to us. So I'm not afraid. I am very dedicated. I'm very focused.
Yeah, that I
And I
know.
want
Mhm.
discovery. I
Yeah,
want to get the information so I can give it to you, so I
yeah,
can give it to the Canadians. Because during discovery, a lots of things will be uncovered. A private lawsuit gives you this enormous power to look under the stones, to
yeah.
move things around, a lot more than the criminal persecution.
Mm.
So that's what I'm looking for. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because it would be a lot easier, and I would have $160,000 in my pocket just to move on. But
Yeah.
again, as a clergy, as a pastor, as a Canadian, as a father, as a husband, I cannot let go. Those people deserve to know the truth.
Yeah. Okay, so now this court case you're going up to now it's because they're not willing to give you the full disclosure of for your lawyer
Yeah.
on that. And there was
Yes.
another thing that you were at the courthouse over that what was his name?
Yeah. So just going back to why we are in court this Wednesday, um, you got to remember that every time they oppose us, every time they break the law, every time they don't want to give what is by law required,
Yeah.
they waste my money.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah, exactly.
tactic, people need to understand the tactics.
Yeah.
They know what they did. They have
Yeah.
all the information. They have every officer. They know everything.
Hmm.
But they're not giving it to us because they want to bankrupt me. That's
Right.
the agenda. People need
But
to understand
here's the
the game.
thing. Here's the thing. You were at that guy's court case. You were just a spectator,
Yeah, so
and you
that's
never said
Derek Reimer.
anything. Yeah,
Derek
Derek. What is
Reimer.
his name again?
Derek Reimer is another pastor in Calgary that
Yeah.
has been attacked by the conservative government for exposing pedophilia in the city
Okay.
of Calgary.
Now
So
you were
that's
in the
the guy.
courtroom. You were in the courtroom just as a spectator. You're not saying anything. And what happened exactly did that judge do to you again?
So that's a second time when they recognized me, and the
Yeah.
Crown prosecutor Matt Deladovich.
Uh-huh.
Again, why is this name important? Because that's the same office, a special prosecutor's office in the city of Calgary with Stephen Johnston. Remember Stephen Johnston, the crooked Crown prosecutor that was in charge of prosecuting and persecuting clergy, Coots 4, Coots Trio,
Oh yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah,
those
yeah,
the
yeah,
cases,
yeah,
including mine, was done
yeah,
by that special Crown prosecutor's
yeah,
office,
yeah.
which is Stephen Johnson and Matt Deladovich. So
Mhm.
that's the same entity that is fighting Canadians and Christians particularly.
Yeah,
So Derek Reimer came to a discovery that there is a grooming of the children and pedophilia going on in the city of Calgary. So he
right.
decided to oppose it. And he did it not Artur Pawlowski style. I'm a little bit in your face. So
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did it Canadian way. He was very polite. He was very nice. He was very Canadian. And he just said, I disagree with what is happening here. And what is
right.
happening in a public library? It's a dress up game
Yeah,
with men dressed as women, wig, lipstick, the whole 9 yards, and little children. So
yeah,
you've got adults playing dress up with toddlers and little children. So he said, this is grooming of the children. This is pedophilia. This is this is criminal activity.
yeah.
So he voiced his opinion. He was not doing anything. He's not a
No, I
violent
watched the
man,
video. I seen it,
right? He
and
was
they put
assaulted.
their hands on him.
Yeah, they assaulted him.
Right.
I advised him. He didn't listen to my advice, but I advised him. I said, they're going to go after you. So you have to counter attack them by charging those people with assault. They assaulted you, and if you do that, they probably will not go after you because they protect each other. But he didn't listen. He wanted to be nice, and he didn't press charges. And of course, they did. He was multiple time arrested. He spent, I think, 3 months in prison, or 4 months in prison, and in and out of jail. They breached him many times. But here is a surprise and a twist in the story. He wins the case. The
Okay.
judge acquits him,
Okay.
right? Huge
Yeah.
victory. The judge
Okay.
says, no, you're not guilty. You're
Right.
innocent. So the crown prosecutor, again, from the same office, Stephen Johnston and Matt Delotovich, they appealed the decision.
Wow.
They said it's called double jeopardy.
Yeah.
They said that a judge made errors in the law, and we
Oh.
have to retry the whole thing. And the judge, the
Oh.
crooked judge, agreed with the crown prosecutors, and they pretty much annulled the entire case, and he's being retried
Wow.
again. Even though he already won, now he has to go through the whole ordeal again. So of course I was exposing the case, I was supporting him. He's a nice man, a husband, and a father, and very concerned with what is happening, of course, with the use of taxpayers' money coming from the conservative government,
Yeah.
with our children, the grooming and the pedophilia thing.
Yeah.
So
Now you're
I
sitting in
attended the
the.
church, Rudy. I
Yeah.
attended the court. Sorry,
Yeah.
I attended
Yeah.
the court meeting,
Yeah.
and of course, they recognize me right away, and they hate me for
Yeah.
what I'm saying, for what I'm exposing. I'm doing podcasts and shows, and they recognize me. And Matt Deladovich, that snake, he said to the judge, "I cannot do my job while this man is sitting in a
Oh, wow.
gallery."
That's crazy.
And the judge agreed with him. And I was literally kicked out and threatened
Wow. For
because I
doing
said,
nothing
for doing
but being
nothing.
there.
Um,
Wow.
he said, he says that I have to go. And I said, can I address the court? And he says, sure. So I said, how is this justice?
Yeah.
That this man can kick a citizen out of the court for
Right.
nothing. I
Yeah.
didn't do anything. I
Yeah.
was respectful in the court. The judge saw it.
Wow.
No issues whatsoever in a court.
Wow.
And then I got escorted out because he threatened.
Unbelievable.
He threatened.
Unbelievable.
That's not the end of the story, Rudy. There was
Jeez.
another pastor from Red Deer, the only pastor that comes and actually cares about what is happening with our children here. And the Matt Deladovich, the crown prosecutor, said, but I want him out as well. Another
Wow.
pastor, as a witness, I want him as well. And the judge addressed my friend Sean Ham, and the accusation towards him, you won't believe it.
Mhm.
He said, Matt Deladovich said that Pastor Sean was smiling. He
Okay.
couldn't see it, but he knows that he was smiling during the proceedings. So the judge asked the pastor to stand up, and he said, you find this entertaining? And he says, yeah, I do. He says, then out of the,
Oh, wow.
courtroom. So two of us were kicked out for nothing because
Yeah.
Matt Deladovich is a corrupt, evil, wicked weasel, a weak man that cannot stand any criticism. But on top of that, a worship leader that also attended the court proceedings, he was wearing a hat. Why is this important? Because the sheriff was wearing a turban. So a sheriff was wearing a hat, and the worship leader was wearing his Jesus hat. And the judge said, I want you to take this hat off. And he says, why? This is my religious right to wear a Jesus hat, just like this man's is his religious right to have a turban. If
Right.
he can wear a hat, that means I can wear a hat as well. And the
Yeah.
judge kicked him out as well
Jesus Christ.
from the court. So we are dealing with a crooked judges, crooked justice system, lying and
Unreal.
deceiving crown prosecutors like Matt Deladovich and Stephen Johnston. So those snakes, vipers, and scorpions are
Yeah.
protected by the conservative government. And that's my point. Nothing changed for people like us. Political dissidents are under attack left and right
Yeah.
by the conservative government, not the liberal government. And don't get me wrong, Rudy, liberal government is crazy. Those are Nazis. However, the conservative government are the communists. So you're
Right.
dealing between the two entities, the Nazis or the communists, who are better. And the people look at the communists and they say, well, communists are better, so let's vote for the lesser of two evils.
Jeez.
And that's how our country was lost, because we kept doing this over and over again. We are lowering the bar and we
Yeah.
keep voting for the lesser of two evils. And now what do we have in government? Just evil.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Now, I've made some calls to some independent MLA out here in British Columbia. He's going to be on the show next Friday, hopefully. But we're going to start digging into a lot more of this factual stuff on the show, and that was one of the reasons for having you on, because of your experience, your firsthand experience with their bullshit. Let's put it that way. And I really want people to understand as we go into this Alberta independence. What's your opinion of this? Because, like I say, Danielle Smith is in there, and Ninchi, he's the opposite of Danielle Smith. And what is your take on this?
If it comes to government operatives, it's a theater. They're playing people like a fiddle. So
Yes.
Danielle Smith is opposing independence, of course, because she is with Carney. She's not going to allow independence at all. She will fight. She said that publicly, that she's not going to allow it. She will do everything in her power to stop it. She said that on camera. So that's not news. It shouldn't be news to Albertans. She was not hiding her colors. But if it comes to the idea of independence, of course, that's a beautiful
Excuse me.
thing. We should be independent. As you know, I was the leader of the Independence Party of Alberta. I loved independence, and I want Alberta to be independent. But if you want my opinion, it's not
Yeah.
going to happen. They will not allow it to happen. There's already a scandal after scandal. There are operatives within the movement trying to destroy the movement from within.
Yeah.
The politicians.
Well, the latest on the CBC is that it's Russian influence and China influence and everything.
Yeah, of course,
you can
we
think
know
of.
that with Trump, Russian collusion, right? I mean, the
Yeah,
same fake
yeah.
book, the same garbage, the same
Yeah.
liars,
Yeah.
all the mainstream propaganda. That's just what it is. I don't know why anyone would watch that garbage. It's garbage. It's not worth your time. I mean, you got to be brainless or brainwashed to watch CBC, CNN, Global Television, CTV, National Post, or Calgary Herald, or Sun. Those are propaganda pieces. You want to be indoctrinated, watch that, read that. But if you're normal, if you don't want to end up brain dead, I would encourage you not to watch it unless you want to, like me. Sometimes I will watch that stuff to preach about it, to let the people know what
Yeah.
the liars are saying. That's the only purpose I would ever listen to what they say or what they write, just to let the people know what the liars and manipulators and propaganda is saying. So, for educational purposes, if it comes to the independent people, I think they want what everyone wants. They want to be free.
Yes.
So, of course, I want to be free, and I hope that they will succeed. However, I already know that they will not. It will not succeed. It's going nowhere. People are
Yeah.
wasting their time and the money because the globalists will not allow it. And unfortunately, we do not have a leader that is able to pull this off, like Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump would be able to do this
Mm.
if he was here in Alberta. But we don't have people like this. What we have is either flip flopping, or we have people that are playing safe. You cannot win this fight with globalists by playing safe. You have to be like Donald Trump. You got to be in their
Yeah.
face. You got to keep
Yeah.
exposing them. You got to keep fighting them. You got to, you got to do things that others are afraid to do in order to bring the whole truth so people's eyes can be open. I believe that if they will even manage, let's say they will manage to put the question for a referendum, which legally they should be able to, because it's over 300,000 signatures. And I
Mhm.
think you need 170 something to pass the threshold.
Well,
Um,
they've done that. They've done
they've
that.
done that. So
Yeah.
legally, they should be allowed to put
Yeah.
that question on a paper. However,
Mhm.
I think the crooks are going to try to stop this with some kind of a legal way.
Well,
Lawyers,
they've already brought the native situation into it.
and not just
And
native, who
yeah.
activated this devil, Jason Kenney, got activated. They're using him left and right. The
Mm.
mainstream propaganda loves the guy, so they're
Mm.
giving him free airtime.
Mm.
The murderer that has so much blood on his hands,
Yeah, he
the
does.
ex-premier of Alberta, Jason Kenney, he is now, the big honcho that is, being used to destroy the referendum and the independence movement. They're bringing their old guns, their cannons back into the play. This devil was quiet for a while. Now he's activated again, and he's all over the news. So
Mhm.
I see the game being played. Pierre Poilievre is another cannon that they're going to use to destroy the movement, because it's all Canada, elbows up with Carney, and we are Canadians and all of that stuff. So I think, in a way, Albertans are screwed. We
Well, there could be walking into a trap, is what they could be doing.
yeah,
You know,
now
that's
the
the way I'm
breach
starting to look at it. Like it's
now
kind of a get of a little trap going on here.
now we've
You
got
know.
this a breach of the Centurion project with private informations that you
Hmm.
know it's a breach of privacy, and they're all after
Yeah.
this. And so I said to our church multiple times that they're going to find a legal way to hold this, to
Mhm.
halt, to put it on hold, and they will put an injunction of some sort. They're going to find some legal way to stop it, and that's exactly what we're witnessing right now.
Yeah.
Um, I said it from the very beginning. As much as I would like Alberta to be independent, I don't think it's going to happen, because I believe they're doing this in the wrong way. I think there are big flaws, in my opinion, how it's being done. But we will see very quickly. Again, a year ago, I prophesied, I spoke publicly many times that this is a waste of time and the money, because I believe that only God at this moment can save us. And I just don't see people having an appetite, Rudy, for God at all.
Mhm.
I don't see a movement. I don't see
I
pastors
know.
really
Me too.
coming
Yeah.
together. So, without God, like you got to remember, I was very heavily involved in the MAGA movement in the United States,
Yeah. Yeah.
with the General Flynn, with Michael Lindell, with
Yeah. I
uh,
remember that too.
Trump's family. So all that MAGA movement, God was everywhere. God was
Hmm.
in the middle of the movement. They
Yeah.
preached, they invited pastors, they were not shying away from faith and God. And prayer was at the beginning of those meetings. Every time we were meeting, it started with the worship and the prayer. That's how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
God first, everything else later. And I just don't see that happening here. It's like some clever heads are thinking that they can outmaneuver the globalists in their own
Hmm.
strength with their own
Hmm.
cleverness. It's not
Hmm.
going to happen, Rudy. I
Yeah.
do not believe it's going to happen. I believe it's a waste of time and money. Bring God back, bring faith God back to the movement, bring
Yeah.
sanity back. Talk about crazy things. MAGA movement was talking about insanity, homosexuality, transgenderism, abortion. All of those things were addressed. The MAGA movement was not afraid to talk about things that most politicians were afraid to talk about. But we don't have that here. We
Hmm.
got con artists, and we got people that think in the independence movement and the referendum that they can outsmart
Hmm.
the enemy. I just
Yeah.
don't think they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only God can outsmart the globalists. So that's my
Crazy.
take. And again,
Yeah.
I don't want to sound, Rudy, that I'm against or opposing. Not at all. I
Hmm.
love the idea. I advocated for this idea before them. I
Yes.
was traveling all over Alberta teaching people about independence, and I was a leader of the
Yes.
Independence Party. So now I'm being accused by some people that I'm against the movement, that I oppose the movement. No, 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 no. I'm all for it. I
Yeah.
just don't see this movement. I just don't see a success in the end of what is happening right now, because I believe that the major ingredient is missing: God.
Yeah. Um, let's kind of wind this up now. We're an hour and a half into this. What is your final take? And by the way, I want to get you back on the show at another later date because there's so much here to absorb. What is your final take before we sign off tonight? I'm going to add some more stuff afterwards, but what is your final take, Pastor Arthur, on where we're at so far in the
Well,
country?
economy is collapsing, Rudy,
Yeah, I know.
left and right. I mean, there is no question about this. And I'm not talking about Canada as a whole. Economy is collapsing in Alberta. So when the people in Canada or the world are looking at Danielle Smith and Conservative Party and they are applauding them as the best of the best, people need to realize that Alberta is in the worst economical shape
Yeah.
from within the Confederation. We got the biggest defaulting on credit cards from within the confederation. Foreclosures, people are losing properties. Downtown is half empty in Calgary. You see everywhere for lease, for sale, for rent, all over the place. So Alberta is in a big trouble.
Yes.
Alberta is in a big trouble economically. Of course, you've got a hostile government that is.
Just sorry, just give me a second here. Just yeah, Deb, can I phone you back? I'm just about done. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, carry
So
on.
economy is collapsing. People are hurting. Of course, people are dropping dead left and right. People physically are hurting. Lots of people are sick.
Yeah.
As a pastor, I see those things on a regular basis because people are contacting me, and I pray for people, and they're in hospitals and or they're dying. So this is what I see: this acceleration, if you will, in sickness and death, which we were told by the doctors that it will take for some people will take years for this whole COVID craziness to catch up, but people are going to be very sick and they're going to drop dead. Turbo cancers are wiping people left and right. So we're dealing with this. On top of that, economy is completely destroyed.
Hmm.
Um, Lots of people cannot afford. Young people cannot afford to live right now. Like literally,
Yeah,
young
I know.
people
Yeah, it's pretty
cannot
bad.
afford to buy a
Yeah.
property. They cannot
Yeah, it's
afford
really
anything
bad.
anymore. So, and we will see. This is just the beginning. If I was to give you a warning, brace yourself, buckle up, because this is not the end. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, hang on a sec. Just give me a sec. Wait a second. Okay, there.
Yeah, so this is just the beginning. We have to understand that Carney, who is that man? He's a globalist. He worked for the Bank of England. He destroyed England, moved to Canada, tried to destroy Canada with
Hang
some
on.
of the Castro.
Here, I'll fix this. Just a minute. I'll fix this. I'll there. I've got the ringer shut off now. Sorry,
Yeah. So
my
then,
viewers. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Now that's fixed.
yeah,
I've
no
shut
worries.
off the phone.
So
Okay, go
you've
ahead.
got Carney coming from England and tried to destroy Canadian economy. Didn't quite succeed, so moved to New York, moved his assets to the United States. Then was appointed, selected, if you will, to be the prime minister, so he can finish the job. So don't kid yourself, Rudy. He is finishing the job. He's destroying Canada because that's his job. His job is to finish you off. His job is
Yeah,
to destroy you. Unfortunately, the other parties are not much better because they're all traitors. I said to the people many times, if they did not march with us, if they did not bleed with us, if they were not willing to stand by our side when we needed them the most, they do not qualify to represent us at all. And that's why I don't trust conservatives, NDPers, and the liberals at all, because they left us to die when we needed them the most. Why would
yeah,
you trust them again?
yeah,
You cannot trust Judas Iscariots, and that's exactly what they are. So, um, my suggestion to you would be this: find a community, start supporting each other, don't waste your resources, brace yourself, buckle up, because tough times are coming for Canadians. A lot of
yeah,
Canadians are going to lose their jobs, they're going to lose their properties, houses, and this is just the beginning of great trouble for the Canadian people, unless they come back to God. If they
yeah.
would repent, if revival would come, I think that we can salvage this country. I just don't see it happening. So we have to let it crumble and then rebuild this whole thing from the ashes. That's how I
Right.
see this thing to unfold. And it's very unfortunate because this is a very beautiful country
Yeah,
and it has a huge potential. If I was the premier of Alberta, Alberta would be the richest province and territory within the Confederation. And I would give incentives to the Albertans for the natural resources,
mhm,
because I believe that people that live here should benefit from what Alberta has to offer. But
yeah,
that's not the case. Our government is raping us and stealing
mhm,
from us left and right, while
yeah.
at the same time, when we are being raped, claims this is for our own good.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, let's leave it there, Pastor. Pastor Arthur, again, could you explain where people could send you a few dollars again?
Yeah, streetchurch.ca, and you got all kinds of ways to give. E-transfer art at streetchurch.ca. There's PayPal, there's Buy Me a Coffee, a QR code. I think there is Stripe as well. Send me an email. I can give you all kinds of other ways as well. ART at streetchurch.ca. So God
Okay.
bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Rudy was
again.
good to catch up.
Thank you so much again for coming on. And I'll get back to you for another show. We'll get you back in there because you still got a lot. I mean, you still got so much more that we never got into, but I think we've hit the highlights. Um, but I think there's much more. Everybody's saying, "Well done, Pastor Arthur," and thanks for coming on. So you've got
Yeah, thank you.
our audience's support, and we're going to do this again at a later date. And I really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you. God bless you guys. God bless you, Rudy, and see
Yeah.
you soon. Bye bye.
Okay. Thank you so much. Where are we? Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some more heavy shows coming up in the very near future. Like I said, though, every Friday, 6 o'clock, I'm going to come out with even more, because we're really going to dig into the corruption of what I've been saying for over 11 years. Okay, now, so we're going to be bringing in some real heavy hitters coming up in the next few shows. So stay tuned. And, I don't know why some people have to call while I'm doing a show. Let's, I just for shits and giggles, I want to hear this again. This one.
Sure. So stay tuned.
This, are you calling me? Okay, you want to turn your radio down or something? Yeah, because I've got your background coming in the show there.
Are you calling me?
Yeah.
Now you're on a voiceover on my show live.
Your radio down or something?
Okay. I'm trying to turn it down. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've got your background.
You're watching the show. I can see that.
Now you're on a voiceover on my show live.
I'm trying to turn it down. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Okay.
I just want to let you know that Arthur, he's a big BSer, Rudy.
Well,
What do you have
I really don't think that he is a big BSer. I mean, I don't see you being up there or anything else like that, and I really don't appreciate you bothering my show with your bullshit. Okay? So thanks for calling. Have a nice day. And that's how we handle that shit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we had a little laugh at the end of the show there. Because I tell you one thing, I know he's not a bullshitter. Pastor Arthur was treated very inhumanely in Canada. And I've known Pastor Arthur for some time. And everything he has told you, I know firsthand, because I went down and interviewed the guy way before, like I said, before COVID happened, and he was, or is still today, feeding the homeless. And I don't see this individual who won't even have a caller ID on his phone, so I don't know who it is. But he sure did a big attempt on trying to propaganda my show. Go figure. Anyway, we speak the truth on the show. That's what we're all about. And we inform Canadians of the truth. And that's what we're all about on the Rudy Bruce broadcast. And like I said, the next shows that we are bringing in are going to be heavy hitters that are right directly connected, okay, to the government bullshit, if you will. And that's what we're going to start doing. We're going to get right in deep with what is really going on in Canada, and the bad players that are out there playing the role of so-called premier and so-called prime minister and so-called whatever. Because our country, as a country, if you want to call it a country, is in deep shit, okay? And it's about time we really get into the nitty gritty, okay, of who and what exactly is running our country.
Hello there. Thank you for joining us. This is the Rudy Bruce broadcast. You focus on the truth. I focus on the facts. People of Canada, your voice will speak a million strong. If we come together and fight what's going on. We got homeless people living in tents. Be compassionate, do not judge. Because 200,000 of us are using food banks. Where's the pride? Where's the pride? Where's our money we slave for? They cover it up. The working man is living poor. Rudy has true leadership, speaking for the ones who are tired of this shit. Make the government officials get a grip, or everyone loses the respect. Something's wrong, open your eyes. They tell us lies, you're blinded to this and mowing your lawn. United, we stand, divided we fall. The time will come, the day is near, we will all march. So listen with your ears, we are not zombies or fresh meat. Let's grind up the government, make compost for the maple trees. Let's avenge the deaths of the ones who have fallen. Coronavirus, opioid, we're still trying. They thought they got away scot-free. We will get the last laugh, just wait and see. These talks we have on the broadcast will provide the guide. Let's do it fast. Taxpayers believe we live strong and free. Everyone does. Are you shitting me? Round of applause to you and yours for tuning in. We're opening doors. This is the real movement, people. Let's stand up, Canada, before we lose. They got away scot-free. Just wait and see. These talks we have on the broadcast will provide the guide. Let's do it fast. Taxpayers believe we live strong and free. Everyone does. Are you shitting me? Round of applause to you and yours for tuning in. We're opening doors. This is the real movement. People that stand up Canada before we lose it.
Okay, that's a wrap. And I appreciate all of you guys for joining me. Next Friday is going to be a big show, I suspect. And one of my shows, we're going to do a talk-in on an open mic to you, the viewers, so that we can hear on a voiceover what your opinions are and where things are at with you. So stay tuned for that one. But we've got lots coming up in the very near future. So stay tuned and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and follow me if you're on Facebook, and all kinds of stuff is going to be coming out. We're going to get a little more, like I say, a little more in depth on the facts of our country. So I want to thank you again for joining the broadcast, and I hope everybody's doing well as can be expected in these times in Canada. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just getting the word out there to all of you. Until next time, thanks for joining.